Welcome to another episode of Football Ancestry. Today, we are going to be trying out a brand new show where we take a look back at the success and failures of every head coach in a team's history. We will be diving into every man to achieve the title of head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. Our timeline begins in 1946, when the 49ers were first established in the All-American Football Conference, a rival league to the NFL. The man hired to lead this brand new franchise was Buck Shaw, who would go on to coach the team in its first 9 seasons. And remarkably, during that time, Shaw only had one losing season, which, if you know anything about starting a team from scratch, that's unprecedented success. Shaw finished his time with the 49ers with 71 wins, 39 losses, and 4 ties. As this list goes on, you'll see just how impressive that win total is. So, let's continue on. Following Shaw, the 49ers saw a string of fairly mediocre football. Heading the team in 1955 would be Red Strader, who finished with just 4 wins and 8 losses. Strader would be replaced after one season with Frankie Albert, who coached the team from 1956 to 1958, actually winning more than he lost in that time frame, with 19 wins and only 16 losses and 1 tie. However, the team would move on in 1959 to head coach Red Hickey, who was at the helm until 1963, when he was relieved of his duties after just 3 games. Hickey ended with a perfectly balanced record of 27 wins, 27 losses, and 1 tie. Now, on to our 5th head coach in franchise history, Jack Christensen, who would lead the team from 1963 to 1967. Christensen would ultimately find himself in the NFL Hall of Fame when his career was over, but not from coaching. He was a standout defensive back and return specialist for the Detroit Lions during his playing days. Christensen led the NFL in interceptions twice and was awarded 6 All-Pro selections during his career. He also holds the record for the most punt returns in Lions history at 8. Unfortunately though, his playing success didn't translate to coaching, and he would end his tenure with 26 wins, 38 losses, and 3 ties. Continuing on our list, we have Dick Nolan, who coached from 1968 to 1975, a decent run with the team, reaching the conference championship a couple times, but never reaching the big game. He finished with 54 wins, 53 losses, and 5 ties. Next to head coach the 49ers was the curious case of Monty Clark. Looking here, we can see Clark only coached the team for 1 year in 1976, yet he had a winning record of 8-6. Usually you wouldn't see a guy with that level of success in his first season be let go. So what happened? Well, first off, it doesn't help that Clark got 6 of his 8 wins in the first 7 games of the season and only managed 2 wins out of the last 7 games of the year. So that level of collapse doesn't sit well, but 8-6 in his first year is still impressive nonetheless. But the real reason for his quick departure has to do with the selling of the team to new owner Eddie DeBartolo Jr. and the ensuing dispute over player personnel power with DeBartolo's hand-picked general manager, Joe Thomas. This rift was unresolvable, and Clark would be fired in favor of keeping Joe Thomas. This decision would prove to be costly. Clark would be replaced by head coach Ken Meyer. Meyer would finish the 1977 season with 5 wins and 9 losses, and be fired. This made way for Joe Thomas to bring in one of his guys, Pete McCauley, who had previously worked with Joe Thomas. However, that wasn't enough to save his job, as after going 1-8 to start the 1978 season, McCauley was let go. Fred O'Connor would step in as the interim coach and be just as bad, finishing out the season 1-6. GM Joe Thomas would be let go at the end of the 1978 season, just 2 years and 3 head coaches later after firing Monty Clark. But through the ashes, a 49ers dynasty would be born, with the hiring of the 11th head coach in 49ers history, the legendary Bill Walsh. As everyone knows, Walsh revolutionized the offense with his West Coast offensive scheme, and led the 49ers to their first 3 Super Bowl victories. Walsh totaled an outstanding 92 wins to 59 losses and 1 tie from 1979 to 1988. To learn more about Bill Walsh, I welcome you to check out my coaching tree video all about him by clicking the link in the top right corner. The party didn't stop with Bill Walsh though. George Seifert would step in to fill the shoes of Bill Walsh, and he certainly kept the ball rolling. Seifert would win a Super Bowl in his first season and ultimately win a second Super Bowl in 1994. During his 8 years leading the team, the 49ers won a dominant 98 games to just 30 losses. Those 98 wins would be the most of any coach in 49ers history, which is why it was so insulting to Seifert when he was informed that the team would like to move in a new direction. Seifert would resign from the team before the final year of his contract, and the 49ers would bring in their guy, Steve Mariucci. And to Mariucci's credit, he did a good job at sustaining the 49ers dynasty as best he could, reaching the conference championship in his first year, but he would never get a crack at the Super Bowl. Still, Mariucci was fairly successful, getting 57 wins compared to 39 losses from 1997 to 2002. However, another power struggle with the front office would lead to Mariucci's release, and the party would be officially over for the 49ers dynasty. The team would endure a long period of mediocre football, starting with head coach Dennis Erickson, who went 9-23 over the 2003 and 2004 seasons. Mike Nolan, the son of former 49ers head coach Dick Nolan, would lead the team to just 18 wins and 37 losses from 2005 to 2008. Mike Singletary would take over from Mike Nolan following Nolan's midseason firing in 2008. Although nothing would improve under Singletary's command, Singletary would get fired with just one game left in the season in 2010. Jim Tomsula would be brought in as interim coach for that one game, and to his credit, he did win the game. But finally, following the fiasco of the last couple years, the 49ers finally found their way back to winning football with the hiring of Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh would return the 49ers to the Super Bowl for the first time in nearly 2 decades, though he would lose it to the Baltimore Ravens, coached by his brother, John Harbaugh. Jim never had a losing season with the 49ers, winning 44 games and losing 19 with one tie between 2011 and 2014. Despite this success, yet another power struggle, this time a general manager Trent Baalke, would lead to Harbaugh's departure from the 49ers and a return to mediocre football. Remember Jim Tomsula, who took over from Mike Singletary for one game 5 years ago? Well, he's still around, and now instead of one game, this time he would be given one whole year to coach the team. But just that 1 year, going 5-11 in 2015 before being shown the door. The 49ers would bring in, head coach Chip Kelly. Okay, Kelly won 2 games in 2016 before being fired. But finally, that leads us to present day, with the hiring of Kyle Shanahan in 2017. Shanahan has stabilized the 49ers back to their winning ways, even leading the team to the Super Bowl, but another Lombardi trophy would continue to elude the 49ers, having lost that game. Nonetheless, the future of the 49ers looks bright under Shanahan, and 49er fans should be excited for what the future brings. Ultimately, in the San Francisco 49ers' 77-year history, they have employed 21 head coaches, including interns. 9 of those head coaches finished their time with the 49ers with more wins than losses, with the top 3 coaches in win total being George Seifert, Bill Walsh, and as of now, the very first coach in team history, Buck Shaw, although Kyle Shanahan is approaching the top 3 and could pass Shaw. So, there you have it. If you liked this video and would like to see this turned into a regular series on the channel, please let me know by either giving this video a like or by letting me know in the comments below. If you've made it this far into the video, I invite you to subscribe to the channel in order to stay notified of future uploads and join our growing community. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.